Today's project is an HP laptop. We're going to take a look at the inside where you can replace the hard drive and you can replace the RAM. This is a model 15-BW011DX. So the steps to fix this machine. This whole top part is going to separate from the bottom because the keyboard does not come apart like a normal one. So the first thing we do is we turn it over and we remove the battery by pressing this in and removing the battery. Now, in order to remove these parts, you're going to have to remove screws. There's a screw here, there's a screw there, there's a screw here, 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 and here. Now, the interesting part about this model is that there are 4 mysteriously hidden screws underneath the rubber feet. So, you'll peel these off. And there's a bunch of different ways. You can do it with your finger. You can do it with a plastic removal device. I do not use metal. Don't use a screwdriver. So I take a little piece of wood. And it peels right off. There's a little bit of adhesive on there. Now, if you do this right, you'll be able to stick these right back on. I keep some rubber cement. Do not use super glue. You'll never be able to get them off again. So as you can see, there's 4 screws. One here, one here, one here, and one here. So now we're going to remove those. They come out pretty easy. Make sure you put them someplace where you can get to them again. I like to use a container that seals so that when you're moving around, you don't accidentally knock them over, because it's very likely you will knock them over. You get disturbed, you lose your concentration. Now, we have this, 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 and this. These 2 back here. A lot of models, they make small screws. This, the regular size screws, so that all of these screws are the same size. If you forget to take these screws out and you only take these out and try to pry the top off, you'll break something. Now I saved this one for last. Because this also controls the CD drive. I also use plastic bags. Do something so that they stay in one place. You can find them, they're arranged, and you don't lose them. At this point, this is where you pry the parts apart. They sell plastic tools to do this. Do not use a screwdriver. You think it'll be easy, but then you'll break a piece and you'll regret it. And if you're doing work for somebody else or you ever want to resell a machine, it's definitely not professional, and it lowers the resale value of your computer. Hearing those little plastic things let go can be scary until you get used to doing them. Okay, at this point, it's loose. Now what happens here is the bottom shell comes loose. And the bottom comes off. That's important to know. So if you're going to replace the keyboard, it's going to be a lot more involved because you're going to have to remove all of these things to replace the keyboard. To remove the hard drive, there are 2 screws, one here and one here. Hard drive screws are very small. They're all the same size. Now, so there's a silver one and 2 black ones. There's your holder, your hard drive. Ease it out from this connection. Lift it gently, gently, and pull back. You'll see the SATA connections. Now, to put it back in, take the small, turn it upside down, and gently place it back in. Your bracket, that attaches the bracket to the hard drive. And your silver screw attaches the bracket to the base. Your RAM, if you haven't replaced RAM before, there are 2 pieces, one on this side, one on this side. You pull them out slightly out of the seating holes, remove them. Now you'll notice that these are placed opposite, one facing this way, one facing this way. There's a locator piece there that'll fit right there. So you take the slot and at an angle, place it in. And as you push it down, make sure it's firmly pushed. And as you snap it down, the 2 holders will snap into place with an audible click. Same with the other side. I like to use my fingernails, but you pull them apart, the top pops up, and use your locating slot like that. Now, there are other parts in here You can look at them if you're doing another job on there. There's a USB board. Here is your powering battery that keeps power to the motherboard and maintains the BIOS, and your fan. Okay, now we're going to put it back together. Now be gentle with this stuff. You don't have to be firm. Push down here first, and that takes care of this part and pushes it firmly into place. Take your fingers, roll forward, because you're connecting all of the little plastic connectors, and you can hear them all snap into place all the way around. That's the safest way to re-click all of the plastic connectors. Your glass LED is protected underneath all of this because you're only pressing on the outside. There are no plastic containers in the middle, only on the outsides. Now we're going to take our parts. As I said, all of these screws are the same size. Since we're at the back, let's start at the back first. Because it's tightening, again, it's tightening this direction. I use a hand screwdriver. I don't use a power screwdriver for the reason that I don't like to take a chance of over tightening the screws. Now, some of you are better. If you're doing it every day and you're assembling these every day, you know how much tension and how long to keep the power on. If you're new to it, I would just use a small screwdriver and you can just feel it just as it gets tight and just stop. Don't over tighten it. That's always the worst thing you can do. You can break the plastic, you can strip out the threads. So now the next thing we do is we slide this in. How do we put it in? Well, there's a curve. You can tell there's a curve there. So lay it in like this. Push it all the way in. And now you tighten your next screw. And it's an order, just so that you can keep it straight. If you do it randomly, sometimes you can miss them, and at the end, you'll notice you got an extra screw. You got to start the whole job all over. But this is nice. As you can see, these are all the same size. And they're the only screws you have to remove. We're getting close. We've got one more to do for the main part. Now these all go perpendicular to the table here. This one up here seems to go in at a little bit of an angle. Again, take your time so you don't strip anything. And then we'll do the 4 feet. Now, if you watch the time on the video, this will tell you basically how long the job is going to take you. So if you're charging somebody for your time, that's where your good estimate is. Disassembling a laptop can be very intimidating. I would recommend watching this video, watching other videos before you do any kind of laptop. Watch them a couple of times and note where they struggle taking the plastics apart. Keep track of your screws. Okay, now I've noticed that these still have a little bit of sticky stuff on the bottom. So you're going to want to find which one doesn't have the sticky stuff. Looks like sticky, sticky, and long. So we'll put this one over here. As I said, if you have a trouble with them sticking, I recommend rubber cement. Old school, but now I'm noticing also there's a difference in the size. See, this one is thinner, this one is thicker. The thicker ones go at the back. Lots of times you can always tell whether it's a professional job as to whether or not the thing goes back together, whether these come off, whether they're missing. Now we'll put our battery in. It snaps. There's also a lock that'll lock this in place. Only on this side. This is the release. This is the lock. Flip it back over. Lift up the top. And now run your fingers. I pinch it. Run your fingers around it. As you can tell, this is still up a little bit. Because the customer will know. Or the person buying it. This machine I got, I'm refurbishing it for sale, for resale. So it's a used computer, and your dollars for resale go down if you don't do it properly. So that's how it's done. Thanks for watching.